Görlitz and the Zittau Mountains, two places in Germany I've long wanted to visit, tucked away in Saxony. When I was in college, I did a summer internship at Silver Pictures on the Warner Brothers lot in Burbank, California. And during that time, I racked up all kinds of credit card debt to pay for gas and groceries while I was working that unpaid internship and unpaid production gigs. Suffice it to say, I realized that LA wasn't exactly the place for me, and now I live in Berlin. But luckily, if I ever have a change of heart, I can just go a few hours outside of the city. It's not Hollywood, but Görliwood, a nickname given to Görlitz because of the number of movies filmed here like Inglourious Basterds and the Grand Budapest Hotel. Ralph Fiennes even wrote a note thanking the city for being the best location ever. That is some high praise from the Dark Lord himself. Deutsche Bahn cancellations delayed our visit by over a day, so we didn't have much time to walk around. It's fall after all, and the days are shrinking like grandma hitting her 90th birthday. So we quickly dropped our bags and started making our way through Görliwood. Even on a short stroll through the Polish border, it's easy to see why the award-winning actor was so enamored with the city. But I'm still not going anywhere near his favorite restaurant. Instead, we went to Bierblume, a local brewery with a plant-powered burger to end the night. The next day we continued south to Zittau, where we picked up a historical steam engine train for the short journey down to Kurort Oybin. The sun's coming out and I'm on a train headed to the mountains. This is my happy place. Once in Oybin, we again quickly dropped our bags and head out on a short hike around the area. I was going to go on a little trail run today. There is a race actually next weekend we found out about too late called the OC Ultra, and they have their routes up. So I was going to go run the 16K today and then do the 25 tomorrow, but we had some more hiccups with the trains getting here, and so I got some new shoes I want to break in, so decided that myself, Melanie, and little Moishula up there would just do a short hike, get breaking my shoes a little bit, and tomorrow I'll get up and get motivated, get moving to do the 25K route as probably my last big run before going to Japan to do the Ninja Trail Run. But yeah, this is a very lovely part of Germany. Haven't been here before. It's very similar to the Saxon Switzerland region. Nice fall colors out. Gut hike. Hey Mobut. The hike centers around Burg und Kloster Oybin, a 13th century fortress turned monastery that fell into ruin during the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. But hey, I think it looks pretty nice as a ruin. It's like the architectural equivalent of embracing your wrinkles instead of attacking your face with Botox. And just as I did in Saxon Switzerland, I'm ready to go for a run. Melanie joins me for the first few kilometers before splitting back into town. I've got another 25 or so to do along the OC Ultra course coming up next weekend. I assumed it'd be cleared up and ready to go for runners so I could have a smooth training session for my final long run before heading to Japan for the Ninja Trail Run in a couple of weeks. Not so much. Loggers were out in full force battling an infestation of bark beetles. At one point, a logger warned me that it was dangerous up ahead. Good thing I could understand the German, only to ignore him anyways. So I just ran into these trees and was told that it gets a little bit more dangerous if I can climb over them. So I think I'm gonna go this way, see what it looks like on the other side, and go from there. I did have to squeeze by one bobcat and dive into a pit of mud. Okay, well I'm putting these shoes to the test.
At least on the muddy side. Holy shit. Don't love that this bobcat seems to be following me. Horror movie-esque.
Fortunately, it was just a bobcat and not Michael Myers, so I made my escape and it was relatively smooth sailing from then on out.
Oh! That's why it's called Talbin. Alright, sports fans, quick check-in. About 14k in on a bit of a uphill slog. Unfortunately for me, started to get these little swirlies in my vision, which for me usually indicates that a migraine is on the horizon. Doesn't happen super often, maybe once or twice a year. And usually if I just lay down, turn the lights off, I can almost like beat the migraine before it happens. Unfortunately, I'm in the middle of a trail, and psychologically, I really want to finish this whole route because I haven't been able to do too much trail running since my race in North Macedonia. And I've got the Ninja Trail running in a few weeks in Japan. So, I'm gonna keep going. See how the vision holds up. I can still see in front of me well enough. And we'll go from there. Wish me luck. Alright, well, feeling much better since I started to get those warning signs of the migraine. It's been a bit of a slog. Not my best run, I would say, but I guess I'll be glad I did this before heading to Japan. But right now, not super thrilled with this scrambling climb ahead of me.
At the peak of my run, straddling the border of Germany and Czechia, I learned about Stella Silberman. Stella worked at the Zittau Görlitz University of Applied Sciences and was a volunteer instructor and administrative assistant in the Deutschen Lebensrettungsgesellschaft, an organization dedicated to water rescue. Stella passed away a little over a year ago at just 34 years old after a fight with cancer. Her family has since started raising funds to launch a foundation in her honor that will support financially and materially disadvantaged children. As of March 2024, they've raised 28,000 of the 50,000 euros they need. I'll leave a link in the description with more information on how you can support her memory and this cause.
Hey everyone, watch me as I take on the endurance challenge of a lifetime. I'm gonna run from Germany, that's what this D stands for, the Deutschland, all the way to Czechia. Are you ready? Wow, that was quite the challenge. Czechia, we made it. I just want to say that, you know, getting down to that pain cave and really telling myself that I could do this is probably what got me through this challenge. So yeah, Germany to Czechia challenge complete. One of the many things I love about living in a European Union, Europe, is that here you've got the border of the Czechia, just little markers like this that say "see along the way," and on the other side, occasionally you'll just see similar little white marker that says D on it. No border checks or whatever, just little marker. It's like a little small reminder that these are different countries, but ultimately it's all the same, as you can see. And, you know, borders are man-made bullshit.
With my geopolitical TED Talk out of the way, I finished the final stretch back into Oybin, where Melanie and Mo were already waiting for me with some pizza that we topped off with a very deutsche helping of Kaffee und Kuchen. Pausing the video really quick to say thank you to Görlitz and Görliwood for hosting us in Görlitz. Our stay was unfortunately shorter than I would have liked, but it was a nice, quick view of the city and can highly recommend visiting yourself. And I am looking forward to going back. And also wanted to say thanks to Hotel Sonne in Zittau. It's been a great base, not only to see Zittau itself, but to get out into the nature, see the mountains around here. And it's just a nice hotel. Like, you ever stay someplace and you're like, this is a really nice hotel, and as soon as you walk into Hotel Sonne, you get that like really comfortable, nice hotel vibe. And even though we just got in here, I already love it, and I'm looking forward to spending some time in here as well. Hotel Sonne is right in the heart of the city. You walk out onto the central Marktplatz with one of the more unique city halls I've seen in the country, featuring a mix of Baroque and Renaissance architecture. On our final morning in Saxony, and with my big training run behind me, I went for an easy shakeout run outside of the city. Plus, the kind folks at Hotel Sonne were nice enough to give us a late checkout, giving me plenty of time to enjoy breakfast, go for my run, and have a shower before we started the journey back to Berlin. I can only imagine how grateful everyone on the train was that I got that shower in.
Pausing this run to talk a little bit about something that occurred last night. And I honestly debated whether or not I would include this in the video, because I don't usually include things that, to put it lightly, that I disagree with in terms of like local politics and whatnot. Because in this whole discussion as to whether or not you should boycott a place you politically disagree with or go there, I generally fall on the lines of you should still go visit places as long as you can be safe, that you might not entirely agree with, because there are a lot of people there who are, you know, fighting the good fight, for lack of a better description, and you could support them and their businesses and whatnot when you travel there. So I say all this with the caveat that I do think that you should still come out to this region if you can. It's beautiful. It's, I think, a bit off the beaten path for at least foreigners traveling around Germany. But that said, I would be remiss if I didn't state some of the obvious things that I saw last night and what's been going on in this region, just in the same way that if I were traveling through a part of the US that had a heavy Trump base and, you know, lots of guns around, I would make that warning as well. So last night we were walking around beautiful Marktplatz, the center of the town, and we were just kind of following little waymarker signs around the area. And we followed this one to the Blumenuhr, this basically just a clock made by flowers, essentially. And while we were there, we started hearing all this honking, and cars started driving around waving AfD flags. Now, if you don't know the AfD, they are the Alternative für Deutschland, and they are essentially the far-right extremist party of Germany. They're basically neo-Nazis with brighter colors and a Nike swoosh. Unfortunately, they are quite popular in this part of the country. At first I thought like, oh, just some idiots driving around, not a big deal. But then, as we finished our walk to the center of town, just around the corner from our hotel, they had a big rally, like stage bright lights. And I'm not going to repeat some of the things we heard their speakers talking about because it's abhorrent. And it's a shame that that would be a marker of this trip in an otherwise physically beautiful region. And we'd even commented the whole trip from Görlitz down to Oybin to hear that all of our interactions with individuals were wonderful. Like everybody was just very kind, which is why, again, like in that whole argument of do you still visit these places or not because you disagree with the politics, I land on the side of you should go if you feel safe because you could still have those nice interactions. And we don't know if the people that we interacted with were AfD supporters, but because it was something that we noticed without looking for it, it felt like I had to mention it. I don't think I would have mentioned it had we not seen the cars driving around and heard the rally on a Monday night, which also makes me think, it's a Monday night. It's not like an election day was around the corner, so this must be something that happens regularly. I don't necessarily like to get into the cultural differences that people disagree with, but this isn't, tipping culture in the US versus Europe. This is a topic where if you're traveling around here, depending on who you are, you might not feel safe, you might not feel welcomed, so it feels important to mention, unfortunately.
Believe me, I really do hate to end on that note, but remember that 95% of this video was about how wonderful this region was to visit. I know I wouldn't hesitate to come back. Before I wrap up, I want to thank Görlitz Tourism and Hotel Sonne in Zittau once again for hosting us. Next up, I'll have a longer film on how the Berlin Wall became a trail with some running, cycling, and paddling. But when that comes out, I'll actually already be in Japan running the Ninja Trail Run, my final ultra of the year, before traveling around the country a little bit to check out the vegan food scene, and then I'll go spend a week on Okinawa. As always, stay tuned for more. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and go watch this video on my last trip to Saxony, where I ran around the Maleveg in Saxon, Switzerland National Park.